Now we'll move to the heavy one. I mean, obviously you've seen that clip of the fight between Nave Baroque and of course it was Eulert de Bala from Wexford. Another mass GAA brawl. And this time what was dangerous and what was scary for me about this one was it was in the stands this time. It was in like the stands. That stand is full of concrete. For anyone who's going to think that, for anyone that has not been to Parnell Park before, that stand is just pure concrete and steps and hard, sharp edges. If anyone had got cracked and fallen backwards and hit their head off one of the ground there or hit their head off one of the steps, this could have really had a very, very dark, dangerous ending to it. So I feel like people need to take this really seriously. These actions should not be tolerated by the GA.
Yeah, and I think the big, I suppose the biggest issue with it as well is that, look, we've seen fights on the pitch before as well. When it starts to spill over into the crowd is when it's really dangerous as well. And look, there's kind of two views, I suppose, of it as well. That there was an incident where a woman was holding a hurl and I counted at least 4 swings of the hurl as well that connected on somebody as well, and they were proper swings of the hurl too as well. So look, I think initially you can see that the fight starts in the pitch as well, pretty close to the sideline. I'd no idea what's said, and that I think people are kind of speculating on what initially starts it and everything as well. But look, you can quickly see people running down the steps and everything as well, punches being thrown to the back of the head and everything as well. That look, it was an ugly enough scene, I suppose, and that I think look, there's a lot of stories kind of talked fondly about. I don't know, GA has this culture of fighting in matches and everything as well, and that we talk about, and there was a big fight in the game stuff as well. But once it starts spilling over into the sideline and everything as well, like it just can't happen, and that it's just too dangerous for that to happen. And look, with young people, I suppose, in the crowd as well, having to watch this as well, like that was a serious fight, and it's very distressing for some people that were going just to watch their club be in action again in a provincial game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a family sport. Like, you don't want to take your kids to watch your local club play and then, there's full-grown men swinging absolute leather at each other. So, like, I mean, that is pretty scary. We have 2 comments here from Jack Nulty. Clifford's a king, that's all that can be said. I mean, there's absolutely no argument with that. And then about the brawl, why I found it harrowing is some found entertaining and harmless. It's disgraceful scenes. Absolutely agree with that, Jack. I mean, Matt, we were talking about it here. The fact that, I mean, they're on concrete, there's steps there, there's really sharp steps there that if someone gets cracked and falls backwards and hits their head, I mean, that's at the very least you're going to the hospital for serious injuries. So, and one thing I said, if you watch one of the previous episodes here on Play on GA, I was saying this to Luke, this was in the aftermath of the Galway Armagh brawl. I was saying that brawl was really close to the crowd. That brawl was right on the bottom of the Cusack stand. The Armagh Tyrone brawl, where 5 players got sent off, that was right on the end line. I mean, fans could literally reach out and grab the players when that brawl was going on. I'm saying that because the GAA is such a community-based sport and everybody knows everybody's business, what is there to stop someone in the crowd knowing something about one of the players and saying something to one of the players, or throwing a coin or a bottle or a lighter at one of the players after they've been in a brawl, and the player's already fired up, and it could end up in the crowd with players and fans fighting each other? It's pretty much happened. I mean, it happened in Wicklow with, coaches and parents fighting against players. Why can't it happen in the club championship? What, the security? Yeah, they're so well paid. It's people in high vises that, are volunteering. What are they going to do? Break up these athletes throwing leather at each other? No chance. So there is a dangerous little balance here that it could go horribly wrong if the GAA don't clamp down on it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I've seen it at multiple occasions on social media as well. Things are getting small, even in the inter-county game. Like, I even go back to Kilkenny and Galway in the Leinster final. I think some Kilkenny fans were bullying this lad that happened to be.
I've seen that, yeah.
Like, it's just wrong. It's wrong. It really is wrong. And that kind of spreads into the pitch as well. That this kind of culture is coming into the GAA, I think, as well. This kind of, like, I don't think soccer fans would kind of want to accept this, but soccer kind of culture as well. Like, fans fight each other, players fight each other as well. And it's not right, really. And it could end in, if like, we had this, I'd say, in 2010 between Meath and Louth. I'm sure you remember this, that incident in Croke Park where Bartlett's Lund was pushed all over the place. Yes, Louth were robbed that day, but like it was disgraceful scenes what happened on the day of the game, that particular day. We're 12 years after that, and it's still going on. And even worse with lighters, as you mentioned there, with being pushed onto concrete and stuff. It's just wrong. It really is wrong. And the GA need to clamp down on it. No more 12 weeks suspension. And even the Roscommon incident where the coach punches the referee and he gets it, what was it, a 96-week ban? He should be banned for life. That's inexcusable. That shouldn't happen, you know? And I think it's wrong. It really is wrong. And yeah, the GA should clamp down on it. Like somebody's going to get badly hurt until the GA do something. And that's the sad reality of it. Hopefully the GA do something, because like thankfully it doesn't seem to have affected anybody. Hopefully everyone's okay after that incident in Parnell Park. But if it's going to get worse over the next few weeks, the GA need to clamp down on no 96-week bans. Whoever's pulling punches or any of that, lifetime ban. I don't care if you're Bobby Connolly or David Clifford or the great Pat Spillane or anybody. If you pull a punch on somebody or a referee, you should get banned for life. Simple as that.
Yeah, I was saying this on GA Fan TV podcast. I was saying it there this morning with Aaron Prendergast. I was saying my take on it is, and what I would do is, that the GA need to come out with a statement. The GA president, Larry McCarthy, he needs to come out with a statement to go, right, from now on, you get the same punishment for what you do at a GAA match as for what you would get outside of a GAA match. So if you hit someone on the back of the head with a hurley stick at a GAA match, you get the same punishment for doing that at a GAA match that you would if you did that to someone on the street. Because the three of us know that there are people who do use the GAA as a loophole for violence, that the second that it kicks off in a match, everyone's in there. I can get the mentality. We've all played sport. We all understand that, you know, you want to look after your teammates. You want to look after your friends. You want to look after your club mates that are on the pitch and make sure that you aren't getting pushed around as a club and as a parish. But it does get to that type of gang mentality where you could see the second that one punch was landed in that clip, there was about 17 lads down around that incident. So it gets dangerous really, really quickly. My first take is that the GAA need to come out and say, we're not putting up with this anymore. Because it genuinely, the lack of action really has me believing that the GAA secretly kind of like this because it does draw more eyeballs to the sport. It does sell more tickets when teams clearly don't like each other. I mean, all you need to do, the coverage side definitely loves it anyway. I mean, all we need to talk about is the Galway Armagh brawl again, where they cut for the ad break and then they came back because they knew that a brawl was kicking off, and Darren Maloney came on and back on and was prompted to commentate again. He's saying, very unsavory scenes here. We don't like seeing this. Stop, will you? Go for the ad break then. Why are you bringing it back to watch a brawl? Because you like it, because so many people, because everyone in the country was talking about that brawl after it happened. So the GA need to come out and they need to make it very clear that this will not be tolerated at our games anymore. That if you assault someone at a GAA match, if you batter someone on the sideline, that you get the same punishment that you would get if you battered someone on the street in normal life. That's the type that I feel like they need to go with. Luke, would you agree with that, or what kind of angle would you come from?
Yeah, look, I just to briefly touch on that as well. I think it's a good point as well, is that game as well. RT says, oh yeah, we condemn this type of behavior, when you can literally hear the ad music was started playing and they were halfway gone to the ads, and then all of a sudden you can hear that Darren Maloney's been rushed back in front of the mic to.
They're like, wait, it's kicking off, get back.
That's the thing, is that and then he's told to go back on and then say, oh, this is terrible, nobody wants to see this, as they zoom in even closer to the action as well. So it's it's
camera angles and everything, like.
Yeah, it's that people, I don't know, people love to say that, oh, nobody wants to see this, but when secretly everyone's saying, oh yeah, we love to see this. But but I do think, look, it is what we saw, I suppose, the weekend, the Brogues one, there was nothing funny about that one at all, and that there was some serious force being used in that as well. You see some of the punches that landed in that too. There was serious venom in that as well. It wasn't like the kind of handbags, I suppose, that was in I suppose the Armagh Ross Galway game wasn't the same nature, and yeah, there was punches thrown in that as well, but that was between two groups of players. maybe some people from the background team came in and got a little bit involved too as well. But this is when it starts spilling into the crowd, that's when it's serious, and that's when it has to be clamped out. And that this is the part, I suppose, that look, it goes beyond the referee's control, it goes beyond the linesman's control. And then all of a sudden you're talked about, it's the stewards on the sideline, they're suddenly being dragged into this as well, that they have to kind of try and take control of it as volunteers. That's the real serious thing for an amateur organization. When it starts going into that, when it leaves the pitch, that's when people have to sit up and say no more of this.
Yeah, and a great point here from Jack Nulty as well. He said the same happened here in my county. Someone went to approach a referee and he shoved him and was banned for 6 months, but from all grounds. But he saw him at a match 2 weeks later. And that's exactly a point that I'm talking about here. You need to go at it from a more psychological type point of view. Why are these fights happening? How can we stamp it out? How can we go to the coaches and say, look, we do not like this creeping in? Like, there's nothing wrong with a scuffle. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of, aggro in the game, but it's when it spills into the crowd. It's when it's, spills into, the stewards and the managers and the parents. There's nothing wrong with a bit of competitiveness and a good bit of physicality in the game, but it's when it turns nasty. It's when it turns that, parents and family and people that aren't playing are landing punches on people that are playing. That's when it gets bad. So it's one of those type of things. And all three of us know that guy down at Wexford that got banned, what was it, for 56 weeks or whatever it was, we all know he'll be back at a game within 30 weeks. Max. He'll just show up at a junior match. What, is there going to be some guy on the park gates checking for ID and stuff like that? Like, who are you? All right, yeah, you're not allowed back in here because you punched the ref 27 weeks ago. Like, this guy will be back at a game, because punishing someone by banning him from going to junior matches is pointless. It's absolutely pointless, because he's going to show up, who are you? And he's going to throw out some random name. Oh, no, that's not me. That's not me. Like, everyone knows that's going to happen. So I think the GA realistically needs to look at it and say, look, there's nothing wrong with a bit of physicality in the game. There's nothing wrong, with a little scuffle. But it's when it turns into a full-blown brawl where you have the crowd involved, where you have, parents, family involved, coaches involved. That's when it turns bad. And I would say for future, the harshest punishments should be on the coaches, because they're the ones that have to set the example for the team. If a coach goes over and, like, for example, punches a referee and sends him to hospital, that should be the harshest punishment out of the lot, because you're the one who's supposed to be the leader of your team. And, like, I don't know, Matt, what way would you kind of go about it?
Yeah, that comment really hits home, really, like that. A referee or a fella that punched someone was back at the pitch a few weeks later. I mean, Jesus, it's wrong, really. And yeah, sure. Even there was an incident in Carlow where a Kerry person, I think it's Michael O'Gara is his name, from UCC. He pushed an umpire onto the post, and he could have got a serious head injury after. He got a red card afterwards, but he got like a 3-month ban afterwards. But that was rescinded to like 2 weeks because it ruined his career or something like that. I mean, he did apologise, in fairness to him, but at the same time, if these sorts of things are being rescinded, and we make jokes about these things being rescinded in GA matches, this tackle being rescinded, this punch being rescinded, and things like that, the GA need to stick by them. No matter what player is playing, like, let's say David Clifford gets sent off in a game, or Darren McCurry for Tyrone, it doesn't matter. A player hits another individual, he should be banned for 3 games or whatever the ban may be. It shouldn't be rescinded whatsoever. It has to start with that. And as well as that, we make jokes and all that, saying, they're getting rescinded, or the GA always say they're up with these rescissions again. I mean, it starts from that, really, I think. Like, the fact that players are getting rescinded, and that will creep into fans as well. And the fans will say, once they get a ban, why aren't the players getting bans? We need to have it fair for everybody. I mean, have it fair for everybody by implementing the same bans for punching another individual. That's all we ask for, a bit of consistency. That's all we ask for, really. And you mentioned the point about spilling onto the crowd. Once it gets to that point and it gets onto tarmac rather than grass, it gets serious. And the GA needs to clamp down on it. If they don't clamp down on it, something serious is going to happen. I guarantee something deadly serious is going to happen, and the GA will feel sorry. It's really sad, but that's the world we live in, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is absolutely for sure, and I feel like all three of us can agree on this, that if the GAA takes the action that we probably all know that they will, i.e. do absolutely nothing, throw out a couple of bans that won't stick, will happen again and again. I guarantee